All right, boys. Season 4, episode 1, BS show. We are back. Justin Trasmore, Adam Tynan. It has been a long off season, as always. But hey, wasn't as crazy as last year. We didn't know if we were getting a season last year with Corona and COVID and everything. But we are back this year. We even got an extra regular season game, so we got an extra week of the season to talk here. But boys, after a long 7, 8 months, however it's been, how we feeling?
I mean, there's really nothing like Sundays drinking and gambling. That's just the thing. I mean, especially at Gank's house, always a good time. But no, I mean, it's great to be back. I'm super excited for the season. And Gank, like you pointed out, right before we started, we got a nice storyline of Bears losing. Giants fans will love it with that first round pick.
Oh yes. Yeah, I was just saying it's a nice little trade for the Giants. Good way for them to win the all season. I think we'll also get more into that. But Adam, your Bears are winning 5 games this year, but we'll get to Chaz, we'll let him talk and we'll go on about that trade.
Yeah, I mean it's just good to be back. Excited for football fans again this year, since no one was allowed last year. It's good knowing that football is actually going to happen, unlike last year too. And it's just it's an exciting time. We were talking about pre-show. Fantasy football season's right around the corner. We got all of our teams getting ready to go. It's a good time of the year.
Yeah, that it is. And, it's our first show of the season, too. This is our preseason here. Obviously, a later show than normal, but we got a lot of all-season stories to talk about, and we'll throw our fantasy thoughts in there. But, Adam, let's start with the one that's going to be the season-long story. And I'm going to have to ask you this biggest question, so I asked you it on draft night. You know my thoughts. I'll give my thoughts to the public now. The Bears made their move to get Justin Fields. The Giants took their first round pick. Their schedule is not easy at all. We all know that. With that said, expectations on the Bears. I mean, I don't think they're expected to make the playoffs, especially with that schedule. It's not that great, but how do we feel about Justin Fields? Is he your guy? And what do you need to see from him for it to be a successful season?
So first of all, Gank, you're definitely right about the schedule. I mean, it is brutal. They play pretty much all three of the best divisions in football. And I mean, listen, the Bears are going to do what the Bears have done the past few years. They're going to go, I guess it'd be 7-10 now, 8-9, maybe 9-8, right around 500, especially with that difficult schedule. I've said this to a lot of people. The problem with the Bears is they don't have a good quarterback and they don't have a good offensive line, and you don't win a lot of games in the NFL with that. The defense will show up as it always does. I think it's going to be a lot of the same from them. That being said, Gank, we've talked about this a lot with Justin Fields. I don't know why you're a hater. I think maybe just because he's on the Bears or just because you want that trade to not work out for the Bears. But Justin Fields is an absolute gamer, big time player. Dude shows up in big games, especially in college against the best competition. In another draft year, that guy would have gone top 5, if not number 1, if Trevor Lawrence wasn't around. I think the Jets made the wrong pick by passing on him. I think he's big time. I think the Bears got their guy finally, whether they win this year or not. And the Giants decided to, instead of take care of their terrible offensive line, draft like a third string receiver in Tooney. So, say what you want about that draft and that trade. But I just don't think it was, I thought the Giants was the right trade for them, but I don't think they made the right pick after.
I mean, the right pick in Tony, we'll see. I don't know if it was the right choice. With that said, they got an edge linebacker that can rush a quarterback that was projected to go right in that spot, and they still got him in the second round. So one way or the other, they still got their guy. They got a first-round pick, and like you said, tell me, I don't know if you just don't want the trade to work for the Bears. Truth be told, I could care less if Justin Fields is really that good in the NFL. If you want my honest opinion, well, he's played big-time college games. I've seen a lot of Ohio State quarterbacks win national championships. I haven't seen any of them succeed in the NFL. And not to take away the fact that it didn't really look that good this last big-time games to close out his college career, I didn't think. I just don't think he has it. I don't trust Ohio State quarterbacks. That is kind of unfair to say, but I don't see the it factor in him. I don't sense it like I do. You said he may be the number one pick. Obviously, if it wasn't for Lawrence, I've always been a big Zach Wilson guy behind Lawrence. I always said he'd be number 1, 2 pick in this draft. We got to remember that Justin Fields wasn't even the number 3 quarterback picked in this draft either. And I think it says something that a guy that was easily, before the start of the college football season, was easily number 2 behind Lawrence, like you said, would have been number 1. Had Lawrence not been in that draft, and then kind of fall the way he did as the season went on. I think there's a lot of question marks out there. We can see if he answers, but whether he's good or not doesn't matter to me. I just need the Bears to suck this year. And with that schedule, bud, they are in a lot of trouble. We already know the Red Rocket, Andy Dalton's coming out week 1. 0 shot he's going into LA and winning that game. So Bears 0-1.
Tazzy, let me just hop in for a sec, because we've had this discussion off air, gang. But here's the big thing that you still have not answered to me. You talk about Ohio State quarterbacks bad, this, and this, but there is no rhyme or reason to college quarterbacks. Russell Wilson went to NC State, some low, you got Joe Burrow, LSU. There isn't a quarterback factory because it depends on a lot of things. So you want to say Ohio State quarterbacks don't work. That's true. But Cardale Jones was what? 4th round pick. The guy wasn't a 1st round pick. So, I mean, you want to say what you can about Fields, but the it factor thing, I think, is pretty crazy. I mean, the dude's a big time player, and he's played in big time games. So Mitch did not, as we saw.
Yeah, no, I agree, and he has. But like I said, it may be unfair to put him like in that category just because he's an Ohio State quarterback. But like I said, there's question marks about him. That guy was easily the number 2 pick behind Lawrence, and he just kept falling, and other quarterbacks kept jumping because I just don't think he has it. But time will tell. Time will tell. Whatever.
This will be a
The
fun.
Bears are winning 4 games this year, and the Giants have their pick. Justin Fields may work out for you. Good for you if he does. It's going to work out for the Giants this year. That's all I know. Confident about that. But we also had a lot of other storylines this year. Big all season as it always is. You can say that about any sport. No players are going to move. You always can factor a draft in every sport, how that's going to change everything. So, Chaz, now that me and Adam we're done about the Bears and Giants right now, who is your winner for the offseason?
I think there was a few teams that had a really good offseason, and we will probably have all different answers on this, but I'm going to go into the other team in New York. I'm going to say the Jets. I think clearing house and starting over with a lot of things. I think their future is definitely more bright than it was 6 months ago. You get their new head coach, got their quarterback in Zach Wilson. They drafted a receiver. They trade for a receiver. They get O-line help. They add some pieces of the defense. It's not the Jets team that's going to win 3 games. And I mean, I don't know if you guys seen Zach Wilson so far in the preseason, but he looks pretty damn good. And I think as Jet fans, it's just a sigh of relief. Like Sam Darnold, I still don't think is that bad of a quarterback, but I think he needed a new situation. I think the Jets needed a new situation. So I think they made a good trade getting him out of there, replacing him with a new quarterback like Zach Wilson. Gank, you just said you're big on him and have been. I think he's going to work out for New York. And with all these new pieces, I think this Jet team and new coach, obviously, because Adam Gase was just horrific. I think things are going to turn around for Gang Green in New York, and I think they had a very, very good offseason.
Adam?
Yeah, so I mean, first of all, Chaz, I agree with that. I think a lot of the quarterbacks in this draft are going to work out just because I think they're all very good. And they solidified the O-line. They got Becton, they got the guard from USC, and they got guys around them. So I mean, I agree with that. And I like their coach a lot. I'm gonna go to the Pats. I think last season they got screwed with COVID and injuries and stuff, and somehow still went 7-9 with just horrific quarterback play. I think they're going to bounce back a lot this year. They re-signed, they signed a few guys on defense. I think Mac Jones, even though he's not maybe a great quarterback, he just fits in that Patriots system of get the ball out, get the job done. He's not going to try to do too much, which Brady did a lot of early in his career. And, I just think that they're going to bounce back this year. And I like a lot of what Belichick did to make sure that what happens last year is not going to happen this year. And not to mention Belichick is fired up and has something to prove because Brady won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and to be honest, Patriots I think are high on every list. I can't disagree with that. I love what he did there. I think we are going to see our share of Mac Jones. And I think Mac Jones is going to definitely work in Belichick's system. I had the Patriots team written down at him. I was definitely all for them. I'm going to go back to a team I love that always burns me on this podcast, and I should hate this team because I do hate this team. I always bring them up. But the Dallas Cowboys taking Micah Parsons.
My God.
Micah Parsons was the one guy I had circled on the draft board for the Giants. Adam, I know you said Giants need O-line. Most Giant fans will not disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. The Giants O-line is young, and though they have a few years under their belt, I think they kind of started to gel together. I think they'll figure that out, which is why I wasn't so mad when the Giants didn't go O-line that first round. But Dallas getting Micah Parsons is key. We watched the Dallas team last year with Dak before the Dak injury. That just did nothing but put up points and just unfortunately had a defense that, couldn't stop anyone. Dallas would score 42 points a game and lose. But no, you get Van Der Esch back. You get Micah Parsons. That's a hell of a linebacker course to start. DeMarcus Lawrence there. Trevon Diggs could have a better second year in that secondary after a decent rookie year before missing the last month. I mean, they got some pieces on that defense. That defense can play well, and Dak stays healthy. We know that offense can score points with Dak. We've seen that. They could be a team that's going to be very tough to beat this year. I hate to say it because what I watched Washington do, getting Ryan Fitzpatrick, somehow they're division favorites. I don't understand that because I think my Giants actually had a very good offseason, but Dallas is the team to beat in the NFC East. Little early bet for you right there. If you want to take your division out, right there it is.
I mean, the problem with the Cowboys, Gank, is that it all depends on the health of Dak. They just, I don't, I mean, it's a bad division. So you're right. It can definitely help. They don't have a lot of competition there. The Eagles could be horrific. Man, they could be bad.
The Eagles are.
Yeah, I'll let you get into losers at some point.
I was just going to say the Eagles are on a list of them small teams I thought lost the offseason, to be quite honest. But no, my Giants, I don't know. I love what the Giants did. The Giants are not a win, go to the playoff team now, I don't think, but the way they closed last season, they showed a little promise. You bring in Galladay on offense, you get Saquon back. You just hope that offense starts to click a little better. Their defense, I'm not going to say it was great last year, but their defense played well last year, better than I would say most people anticipated. You're at a Dory Jackson already to a loaded secondary. You keep Leonard Williams, and you hope, a second year in that system that the defense even clicks more than it has before. And I think the Giants are the Cowboys' threat, but Cowboys are it. Chaz, how do you feel about my Giants? Good all season? They make your list of a few teams?
I told you the other day that I think their defense is going to be very good. And like we've seen, I mean, we saw it with Washington last year. You have a good defense, and I mean, Daniel Jones doesn't have to be Superman. If he can put up 20 points a game, they're going to be in a lot of games. So if their defense plays like they can, if Bradbury plays 80% of what he played last year, like he was unbelievable. The Giants will be in a lot of games, and in a division that's not going to be very good.
Yeah, I mean, Chaz, that's a good point. They're going to be in pretty much every game. Anytime you have that kind of defense, you are. I mean, again, will they be able to run the ball this year? I mean, if they can, maybe they'll win some games because they couldn't last year.
Keep that on the O-line. They had Saquon for 5 quarters last year.
Oh, but if Danny Dimes is Jason Garrett still the OC second year, right?
Yeah.
Or did they buy? Yeah. So if Danny Dimes can buy into that and just play smart football, I think they'll win a good amount of games, but
Yeah.
no, I mean, he's got to stop turning the ball over, dude.
Yeah. The Giants kind of found their run game a little at the end of the season. I mean, when Wayne Gallman has 450 rushing yards and 7 touchdowns in 5 weeks, they were doing something right. But whatever it was, Chaz, I'm going back to you because me and Adam talked a lot of Giants Bears. I feel like you're Ravens. A lot of transactions this offseason. A lot. Can I have your thoughts about all of them?
There were a lot. Don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, I don't think the team is going to be that much different. I love the Bateman signing. Well, draft. Of course, he's already hurt, but
Ravens round 1 receiver.
But I truly believe he's actually going to be a good receiver.
I will say this: he's my favorite one they've drafted recently.
Yeah,
Coming out.
Yeah, before the draft, I even tweeted, I was like, I want Bateman. That pick, whatever they had, 26 or whatever.
Giants could have had him instead of Tony.
Yep. Oh, I know. Obviously, my favorite thing they did was let Matthew Judon walk to New England. Obviously, he's a big name, but the money he wanted, he's just simply not that good. I think they re-signed the guys that they needed to. They're still going to be the same team that is going to run the ball a lot with JK and Gus. They re-signed Gus, which I know AT didn't want for JK's keeper.
Not happy about.
But I mean, I think they're going to be a very similar team. The defense is still intact. Their secondary is still very, very good. So I don't know. It's gonna be another year of the Ravens. Typical Ravens. We'll
We're
see.
looking at 12-5 type of year in the playoffs, and we'll see. Take it from there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what their win total is, and I know we'll get into that last.
Definitely ain't 12, but
No, it's probably 11 or 11 and a half, I would guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, dude, the Ravens, they're one of the handful of teams.
Also going to be so good too.
Yeah, and they're one of the handful of teams that have their foundation. Like, they know the team they are. They run the ball, play good defense. Harbaugh's a good coach. They got Lamar, their guy. Not Gank's guy, but their guy. And I just, when you have teams like that, the only tough part is their division. Exactly. But, I mean, they're going to run the ball, win games. It's all about the playoffs for them. I don't think it's necessarily about the regular season. Can they beat the Chiefs? Probably not. Can they beat the Bills? Probably not. But
well, I mean, the one thing they did do, and I mean, he'll probably be hurt by week 8, but I mean, they went and got another somewhat of a receiver in Sammy Watkins. So
I kind of like that signing, but
yeah,
you just.
No, I really do too. But I mean, you have him, Bateman when he comes back. You have Hollywood Brown, who they've been raving about. Obviously, Mark Andrews is there, so at least it's 2 more options for Lamar to at least throw to.
Yeah. I mean, when Bateman comes back, it's the best receiving trio Lamar's ever had.
Oh, ever. It's not close.
yeah, not even close.
It's not a Snead, Seth Roberts, and a rookie Hollywood. They thought that was getting the job.
I'm going to try to hate Lamar less this year.
I like it.
I don't think you'll ever
okay.
really.
We'll see how that goes.
I don't think you'll really ever hear me say I think he's just like great quarterback, but I'm going to hate him less this year.
You just got to take him off the same level as Patrick Mahomes. That's what you got to do.
Gang, by the way, that's recorded, so we'll go back to that in like week 17. So
That's fine. We might have to go back to it in week 3 if I fucking lose the bet and it costs me. I don't know who they play week 3, but like you said.
I don't know. They played the Chiefs like right around there.
One of the best part too, if the Ravens cost me a bet, I think you're right, Chaz. I gotta remember that. But the Ravens could cost me a bet in a game where they score like 35 plus points, and no matter what, it will be Lamar's fault.
Oh yeah,
From my mouth. It'll just be his fault.
He's
Yeah,
on like
defense.
6 touchdowns, but he missed 1 throw. It's his fault.
Yeah, Derrick Henry runs all over him, but it's Lamar's fault, right?
I'll pick out the 2 bad throws he has. Say that's it. Oh, that's where I go. All right. Bid our winners. I'll do losers because I think losers, a big part of it has to do with the head coach. Sorry for taking this on. I'm just very adamant about this because I have no idea what Detroit ever does. If they even try to win football games, if they try to give the fans hope for something, give them reason to cheer. But no, this team does nothing. Trade Matt Stafford for Jared Goff. We already know who won that trade. And then you bring in a coach who just tries to get amped up, tries to be this kind of musclehead like guy, get amped up, try to talk football, try to talk this and that. Every time he talks, like no one's buying. You can't sell it at all. He kind of sounds like a moron. I feel like when he talks, I don't trust that any of his players going to buy into whatever this toughness is he tries to put out. I mean, you've been a problem for years, Detroit. You have not been good in years. I'm pretty sure they had the longest playoff drought in football.
I believe you.
Well, maybe not playoff drought.
Definitely-
Maybe longest without a playoff win
Playoff
tied with
win.
the Bengals.
Definitely win. Yeah.
I believe.
No,
Yeah,
win.
playoff wins.
Yeah.
And this team just didn't get better. You downgraded at quarterback, and I don't trust your head coach at all. Detroit, you've been bad for years, and you got another bad year incoming.
I mean, Gag, I will. That's true. The Lions are the Lions. I mean, they drafted Penei Sewell at 8, and they got 2
That was
first
the
round
best thing
picks.
they've done in years.
Yeah, I mean, that was just such a right pick. And they did get 2 first rounders for Goff and Stafford. So, I mean, they'll be late first rounders, but they're rebuilding. You know, it's not like they were great last year either. So, I see where you're at, though. I mean, I'm going to go with who I hinted at before, just because I truly believe this, and this is no huge surprise. I mean, the Eagles, I don't see it. I know Joe Flacco's backup QB is probably a really, really good signing, but I just, I mean, I like the Devontae Smith pick, I guess, but this is now how many years in a row they've tried to draft an early receiver and it just hasn't worked out, and I just feel like they're they're finally going to blow it all up. And I don't know, the head coaching hire to me seems like a lot of people didn't want the job, so they didn't take it because the GM seems to try to control things. From what has come out after Doug Peterson got fired and, Carson Wentz not being happy, things like that. So I don't see it even in a bad division. It's unfortunate because I think Jalen Hurts in the right situation could succeed and win some games. But I just don't see it for them.
Yeah, Phillies. They're I'm gonna go with the Texans. I mean, good God. Talk about just a complete shit show of an organization. It started last year. I mean, when they just donated DeAndre Hopkins to the Cardinals. Then you have this year, you got their star future quarterback come out and demand a trade. And then all these allegations come out about him. They hire a head coach who's from the Ravens, who everyone seems to think is just not going to be a good head coach.
Guys, he was the receivers coach, right?
He was the Ravens' assistant receiving coach.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
What
And so this year, obviously, probably in due time, but J.J. Watt leaves the organization. I mean, 2 years ago, you had Hopkins, J.J. Watt, and Watson, and this year you're not going to have a single one of them. I mean, Tyrod Taylor's probably going to be their starting quarterback. Mark Ingram's probably going to be one of their running back. Like, the team is just simply not going to be good. I don't know how they can ever try to sell tickets. I mean, the team's just going to be awful. And it just fell apart so fast. And, I mean, Deshaun Watson, he's been one of the best quarterbacks in the league for all these years, and now they lost him too. So, Houston, you definitely got a problem.
I mean, what if Deshaun Watson does walk out there week 1 and plays?
I cannot see that happening.
I don't know about that.
Like, why not, though?
because of the allegations, dude. I don't think it has to do with the Texans necessarily.
I don't know. I mean, if I'm Houston, the NFL hasn't like done anything. I'm sending him out there and play. Like, I mean,
That would be wild.
gotta do something here. Houston's bad. I mean, best part is just 3 teams. I think we picked 3 teams with coaches almost like Nick Sirianni of Philly. Like up until like a couple weeks ago, I would still hear his name and not even put together who the hell that actually was. So I have no idea who the hell Nick Sirianni was when the Eagles hired him. But
He was the Colts OC.
OC, I think.
I think he was involved with the Colts, probably OC. Forget exact
he was
position, but
he was Frank Wright's OC. So it was like all connecting the dots.
Yeah.
Since the Colts and Eagles now are just they just do things simultaneously.
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on the Colts all season? I mean, obviously sounds like unfortunate training camp for the Colts, but once he's able to get out there, we like that move.
I mean, he's back to practice, so I think he's gonna start week 1. I like it. I hope Wentz goes there and is good. I would
But,
nothing more than seeing that happen.
I am. So Giants fan growing up and Eli guy, I always have to like the Colts and Peyton, obviously, but I always liked Andrew Luck, and I'm always gonna like Carson Wentz now too. I mean, you said get out of Philly like that. I'm with you, Chaz. I want this guy to succeed and kill it there.
Yeah, I love Carson. I'm a huge Carson Wentz fan. Essentially won me the fantasy league the one year because just balled out in overtime to beat Chaz.
Unbelievable.
Well, I mean, dude, the Colts are another team. I think Frank Reich's a really good coach. Carson Wentz had a great year, a couple of years under him in Philly, and they just, I think they locked in Darius Leonard, an extension to Quentin Nelson's a stud. So, I mean, that's a team that, they know their identity, and Carson Wentz won't have to do nearly as much as he had to do in Philly. So I like it.
Yeah, I mean, last year they win 10 games with Phil Rivers, like a 39-year-old Phil Rivers. I think you stick with that identity, branch it out a little bit with Wentz. I think they could be pretty damn good. Their defense still gonna be good.
Rivers makes the throw in the wild card game.
Yeah, they win.
They beat the Bills.
Yeah, that's very true. I actually had Colts money line in that game, so that throw still hurts looking back at it. But I mean, the Colts had it, but yeah, no, the Colts had the right pieces, and if Wentz plays 75% at the rate he did that year, they went to the Super Bowl before he got hurt. The Colts are going to be a very good team.
Mm-hmm.
All right, boys. Did that. You guys got any other all-season notes you need to hit on?
Just that I spent the whole offseason thinking Aaron Rodgers wouldn't play, and then he finally played. But, I mean, either way, I am praying it's his last year there. And I don't know if this is wishful thinking, but I feel like it's not going to be as good as it was no matter what after all this. So we'll see.
What do you mean?
Like, I think the Packers have hit their ceiling. I don't think they'll be as good just simply because of all this going on. And again, I still don't think they've drafted well.
Well, they never drafted well. We know that. That's the reason why Rodgers won that.
Like, come on, man. Who they draft like a project corner, I think, or something.
Yeah. But I really getting pissed off Rodgers. That's it, come out, ball out, and then Green Bay's gonna say, all right, let's get this guy a weapon, actually draft for him, and then he's gonna stay again next year for you, bud.
Could have said that for a lot of years, and they still haven't done that for him. So, I mean, how much better can he play for them not to,
Yeah. Well, it took this many years, but I think Rodgers might have finally won this arm wrestling match with them. Had to push it this far, but all right, boys. But as we were also talking pre-show, fantasy time, and the best time of the year, as we were saying, Adam, where you sitting in class doing mock drafts,
Oh,
Um,
all day today.
I'm sitting at work talking about 2 quarterback leagues, trying to tell myself why I shouldn't draft Dak or why I need to draft Dak at picks 10 or 11. And Chaz, you got the one pick nobody wants probably at pick 6, but hey, you got a plan for it. We know who you like,
Gotta
so
make adjustments, right?
that's Sky. Take the breaks you could get, and you'll adjust. We know Chaz is a great fantasy player. Adam, I can't even talk shit because he beat me in the shit, but I think every other year I was in the playoffs while you've been watching the playoffs.
I mean, not every other year, but yeah, I mean, Gank, I still got the ring. So, I got the last laugh here.
Yeah, all right. Now we're talking a couple years in the past, so it's
Well, somehow you found a way to not win with that team last year. Somehow, some way, Gank. So good luck getting a better team on paper, my man.
I don't think it's possible.
Yeah, good luck.
I don't think it is.
Take a sip of the beer.
That was all AJ Dillon's fault, to be honest. Packers are like, you know what? This is gonna be the one game we're gonna use AJ Dillon.
No.
I mean, to be fair, we've talked about this off show. Like, it's less fun to make fun of you because your team deserved to win and just didn't. It wasn't a tinker.
Yes.
But it's definitely still fun.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I loved my odds last year. Like, I couldn't tinker. I had a lineup, and that was it. I ran that lineup almost the whole year once I made that trade for Tyreek Hill. The only thing I did was when Eckler was down, everything, just try to rotate a running back in the middle of the season, which I got lucky on with Lane Gallman. But that's it, is what it is. But we'll go fantasy. Always like to start kind of light. With that said, I like to talk rookies because rookies are the guys who used to come in. It's a light way to start and make a splash. I just said do one thing and one thing only, and take out an obvious. We're not allowed to name Najee Harris here. We will get into Najee Harris. I'm sure we'll talk some positions here, who we love, who we hate. But rookies, skill position, running back, wide receiver, just a light talk, get a name out there. Who do we like?
Yeah, I mean, I'll start here. I wouldn't say this is anything crazy, but I feel like you have to bring his name up. I mean, Kyle Pitts in Atlanta, that's a great system for tight ends, as we saw in Tennessee. I mean, I think Arthur Smith is a really good coach. You saw what he did with Ryan Tannehill in that offense. Literally got the most out of all of his players he could have. And the dude's just a freak. They wouldn't take him that high if they weren't going to try to use him. Tight ends are always pretty tough to draft. There's always a very few that are good, and the rest are just hit or miss. I mean, and the guy's legit. So if everyone's raving about him, I'm going to trust that. Hopefully I can snag him, but we'll see.
Kyle Pitts guy, Travis.
I'm going to go with the running backs, and obviously Najee's the top one, but Javonte Williams. I think Denver made it clear when they traded up to get this guy at UNC that he is going to be their guy at some point this year. I mean, Melvin Gordon is still there, obviously, but I don't really think he's got much left in the tank. I think trading up to snag a running back for Denver to add another piece. I mean, we talked about all last year that they were a quarterback away. I guess other big news just coming out today, Teddy Bridgewater won Denver's job. So
love that. Bring me Teddy week 1.
Love that.
I mean, you put Drew Lock to the side, you put Teddy in there, you give him another weapon like Williams to go with Melvin Gordon. I like the pick from Denver, and I think he's going to be a name in fantasy football. If it's not week 1, come week 5.
So, Chaz, I'm right there with you in the same position here. To be honest, kind of the reason why I wanted you to go first, because I had 2 on this list here, so I'll go with the other one, and that's Michael Carter with the Jets. And you touched about the Jets earlier, Chaz. Like, you like their all season. I mean, I like their all season a lot, too. I'm big on Zach Wilson, like I said. And now you bring in this running back too that I think went very under the radar there in North Carolina. And, kind of like you said earlier, Chaz, the Jets are starting fresh. You bring in this quarterback and then you draft a running back too. You got a young offensive line. I think this guy's going to get his fair share of touches for the Jets. Same thing with, Javonte Williams. You realize by like week 6 or 7, probably a little far out than you want to be. You got all these young guys. Let's just play them and see what they could do. Get them out there and make some plays. And I think Michael Carter with this Jets offensive line that is turning young and talented very quickly could have some success for them.
Yeah, I like that one too. Some interesting rookies, especially the running back position.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Receivers too. Big receiver class.
Yeah,
just actual draft wise. So
Jamar Chase apparently can't catch though. What's good there? It's like
Chaz loves that. T. Higgins will catch
it. Balls.
T. Higgins will catch it. All right. You guys ESPN ranking guys or no? It doesn't matter. That's just a list I have up to see, but I was give a cutoff before we get into sleepers and stuff like that. I need 3 quarterbacks. I'm going to go positions here. I need 3 guys from the main positions. We'll stay away from tight end, kicker, and defense because tight end, as you said, Adam, I think you can draft 5 guys that actually pan out and the rest you don't even know. But I need 3 quarterbacks that some people are high on that you guys are off on going into this year. I'll start this.
All right, yeah.
I'll start. If you agree, you agree. That's fine because I don't know if we can name 9 quarterbacks, but I'm going to start with Tom Brady is one guy I'm down on. It's not that I think he's having a bad year. I think in that division, Tampa Bay will probably win that division, get back to the playoffs. Do you think the Saints have a shot? I think if the Saints want to name Jameis their starter, they could somewhat surprise this year, but Tampa Bay's defense is too good. Tom Brady is still going to play well and get them to the playoffs, but in terms of fantasy, I don't trust the points that he's going to get for you this year. Yeah, Tampa Bay's still loaded at receivers. Yeah, he's probably still going to throw the ball, but no, looking at the ESPN rankings, ranking at 9, I think there's a big list of guys behind him that I'd rather take in front of him. So Tom Brady is one guy that I have kind of off my list. I don't think he's worth that pick. I think you have better options behind him. Number 2, Matt Ryan in Atlanta. Adam, I know you're high on Pitts. I'm very high on Pitts too, honestly, in the tight end spot. I mean, he's hard not to like. But you take Julio Jones out of that offense, and he's just all question marks. Matt Ryan, we really don't know what we're going to see from him. He's had Julio Jones essentially his whole career, and Matt Ryan, age is getting up there. You take his best weapon. Who knows what we're going to get? And number 3 is Ryan Fitzpatrick, the journeyman that everybody says may finally be in the right spot to win some games, get in the playoffs. I don't hate this Washington team this year, but when it's all said and done, this Washington offense has been ranked 25 or worse in the past 4 years. Ryan Fitzpatrick, Alex Smith, kind of a similar vibe, game manager. People want to try to buy into this Washington team and offense for him. Fitzmagic's had this late year career stuff going on. Stay away from him.
Yeah, you want 3 Qs or it can be 3 running backs or receivers?
I would say go each.
Okay, yeah. I mean,
I was go down each one, but you do whatever.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, quarterback wise, and this is more so statistically through fantasy. I think the Steelers and Big Ben are going to switch it up a lot. I think they're going to run the ball with Najee Harris. They understand that they have a pretty good defense. And I think they're going to win games. But statistically, I think Big Ben's going to have a lower year for his standards. Maybe less picks, but just kind of they're going to switch to a more conservative approach. And that's why I definitely don't love him this year by any means. I'm going to go 1 running back here. I think Josh Jacobs is trending down. I know the guy has had a lot, but the Oakland Raiders have lost some offensive linemen, first of all, and they signed Kenyon Drake, which makes me think that they're not wanting to give Josh Jacobs the tools to, be the cowbell back. And I hate Kenyon Drake, but as a backup, the guy does really well. He just can't start. And I guess I'll go last here. I don't really know if Jared Goff's going to have a year. The guy's put up points definitely previously. But like you pointed out to Gank, the Lions just offensively, I don't see it. I mean, they lost Galladay. I don't know who their receivers are. And I would definitely steer clear of drafting him.
I'll take a bold one with like Gank with Brady. And this isn't more so that I wouldn't draft him. I just think he's going to regress, and where he's getting drafted might be a little high. And that is my boy from last year, Russell Wilson. I mean, he threw 40 touchdowns last year. I just do not see him doing that again. I mean, we know that the Seahawks have always been a run-heavy team. They've obviously switched to letting Russ throw it more. But, I mean, he's probably had the best fantasy season he could have had last year. He was fantastic for me. Don't get me wrong. He's the only reason my team was good. But 40 touchdowns for him is a shit ton. I think the most he had before that was like 34. Like I said, I'm not saying I'm completely out of Russ. I just see regression coming, and I think he's getting drafted like he's going to throw 40 again.
Jazzy not letting Russ cook, huh?
I love Russ. If he falls,
I am. That's funny. I'm high on Russ this year.
Yeah, I mean, he could regress, but yeah.
But he said it was to be a bold. He said it was to be a bold take. He wasn't kidding.
Yeah.
No, I respect it.
Like I said, not out on Russ. Just I see some regression coming. Second, I'm gonna go with Gank here. Matt Ryan. I'm out on that too. I'm pretty sure he's gotten worse fantasy wise every year in the last 3 years. Losing Julio definitely doesn't help that. Obviously, you add in Kyle Pitts. But I mean, he has him and Ridley. And then I think the next best weapon is Russell Gage on the outside. I mean, that doesn't really excite me too much. The one thing I will say is they're probably going to be behind in games. So you get those garbage points, maybe. But I don't want to have to bank on that for Matt Ryan this year. You see the progression going downwards. He's getting older. Just doesn't really bode well for fantasy purposes. And then third, I am going to go I'll go with Baker Mayfield. He played very well last year because he did what he had to. He didn't try to do too much. He took what was given. And the Browns were very good. With that being said, him being good doesn't translate to fantasy numbers. He throws for 190 yards, 200 yards, a touchdown or two, and the Browns win by 14. That's not a good fantasy day. They're going to do the same thing this year, obviously, with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Baker, good quarterback in real life. He's good for the Browns, not for the fantasy rosters.
I mean, yeah, it's hard not to draft Baker. Like, you want to draft him with those receivers there, but
So much upside, but
I'm with you.
It kind of sucks.
I'm seeing him ranked 16. That is a little high.
Where are you at, Adam, at 16?
ESPN PPR. Well, it doesn't matter, but like I'm looking at the ESPN one. It just has him at the 16th ranked quarterback.
That's where I'm at. I see him at 20th, regardless. Yeah, it don't matter. But yeah, like Baker's a guy that, he does give me a lot of thought because of the talent he has as a receiver there. But like you said, Chaz, when it's all said and done, this team's gonna run the ball, which, let's get into Cleveland running backs now, actually. Now we're going to go on a tangent. Adam, this one's coming for you, mister. I'm going to draft 2 Cincinnati running backs and start them both. At the time we got on you, we're always going to rip on you for that because that time it just didn't work. Like,
my team was terrible. There's a reason I was starting 2 running backs. Yeah.
But let's be honest. Let's go in the past. Within the past 4 years or so, 5 years, because what you did, that was at least 6-7 years ago, I think. No,
Jeremy Hill and Joe Bernard. So whenever
that was a lot. That was a while ago. I feel like, yeah. With that said, though, we've seen success with it. No, Ingram and Kamara had success with it in New Orleans, and the Browns kind of had success with it again last year with Chubb and Hunt. So, Adam, if you're a guy, we'll talk Browns here, get all our opinions. Would you draft both, and is there one you actually Chubb, obviously the favorite here, but do you think Kareem Hunt has a chance to outplay Chubb?
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually pretty big on Nick Chubb. I think that he's going to keep eating like he has been the past few years. Kareem Hunt does steal some away, but the thing with Chubb is consistently what he'll get for the most part. There's a lot of mouths to feed on the offense, which is tough, and that would be the only reason I would say it's not a good idea, just because they have so many weapons offensively that Odell, Jarvis. I mean, they got a couple tight ends. I would stay away from it there. But I mean, in a 12-team league, it's definitely not bad. 10 teams, not terrible. But I'm scarred from that, so I probably won't be doing that anytime soon.
Chaz?
I will say, I mean, my one league I won last year, I had Chubb.
I know Kareem Hunt got you far last year too,
And
didn't he?
I drafted Hunt. I think I tried to draft Hunt in every league last year because he was suspended for the first 6-8 games, whatever it was.
Yeah, try to get that steal pick.
Yeah, and honestly, it ended up working out because Chubb ended up getting hurt. Hunt comes in, he was an RB1 every week. But even when he came back, they were both putting up numbers that you could start both of them. Not at the same category. Chubb would obviously be an RB1, and Hunt was more of like a flex play. But he was still getting you 12 or 13 points a week because he is such a good receiver. And he also would have like 8 carries. So this goes back to the whole Baker thing. If Chubb's going to run the ball 20 times, like they're going to run the ball 30 times a game. And for the running backs, it's great, but for Baker and the pass catchers, unfortunately, it's not too great. But I mean, this year, Chubb helped win me a league last year, so I'm not going to say I'm out on him. I'm not in a position to draft him in any league, unfortunately, so I'm not going to get him. But Hunt down the road, he's the best handcuff in the NFL. So I would probably look. He'll probably be on the draft board.
Yeah, I'm a big Hunt guy, especially PPR leagues because of his cash penetrating ability. Like you said, Chaz, the Browns are going to run the ball 30 times a game, and they ain't going to give the ball to Chubb 30 times a game. So Kareem Hunt's obviously get his out of that. And even when you do throw that, I think is part of the reason why we fade Baker is because the offense is very basic. When they do throw, he's going to keep it short and sweet. And with that said, there's a lot of catches for Kareem Hunt in that offense. Chubb, like you guys said, probably the safer pick. Why is to be higher ranked? Why is to go first in all your drafts and everything? But no, I think there is very strong value in Kareem Hunt this year. I think you could see RB2 like numbers coming from him fantasy wise, and I think he's worth a shot. There's going to be a time tonight. We'll get into sleepers. We'll talk about that. I'll stay away from Hunt now about it. But, yeah, Adam, I've bashed you for years about starting 2 running backs. But for the first time in my life, I see a reason why I think you could do it going into the season.
Not the only one bashing me, gang. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, well, it just failed miserably, so it's hard not to.
No denial.
All right. Let's go to Adam's tight end spot. As Adam said, and as I agreed, tight ends nearly impossible to find. Fine. You get your 6 good ones, 7 good ones, whatever, but that's it. So I'm going to take the obvious off the board: Travis Kelce, Darren Waller, and George Kittle. Probably lose a small list of what we're going to say here. So give me, if you're not getting one of those 3 tight ends, give me the tight end you do want, and give me the deep sleeper at tight end.
I mean, I'll definitely start with tight end. I do want. I think Jonnu Smith's going to have a year in New England. They've always used tight ends well. I don't know his health status right now, but if healthy, I mean, Mac Jones is going to be a security blank for him. I think Mac Jones will start playing early. So I'm targeting him late. He's one of those sleeper tight ends that's kind of that boomer bust, which seems to be every 9 or later tight ends. They just are so boomer bust. One I definitely don't like this year, and no surprise here. But I mean, Zach Ertz, he's been a big name for a lot of years, but they haven't re-signed him. And I just don't think that he's going to really have much of a year. They're going to let Dallas Goedert kind of take that over. Obviously, fantasy rankings are reflecting that, but that's definitely a guy I'd stay away from.
Yeah, I'll go different here. I'll say one that I definitely would want pending health here is TJ Hawkinson from Detroit. He had a really good year last year, and now he gets a quarterback in Jared Goff that has in his career loved throwing the ball to the tight end. I think, and TJ Hawkinson, you asked who's going to be catching the ball for the Lions there, AT? It's going to be TJ Hawkinson and DeAndre out of the backfield. So, I mean, they don't have many playmakers, so they're going to be forced to make plays. They're going to be losing a lot of games. So, obviously, depending on health, I think he's a little banged up right now. But with the amount of targets he should be seeing and the amount that they're going to be down, I think it's a good recipe. Someone I don't want, I'm going to go – you said Ertz. I'm going to go Evan Ingram. G-Men. Obviously, they signed Kyle Rudolph. Ingram sucked when he was the only one there. So now that they got someone that can actually catch the football, Kyle Rudolph will make some plays, and Evan Ingram will be nowhere near my fantasy team.
I expect good things from Ingram this year. All right. Tight end I'm gonna go to Philly. You got balled up. I mean, it's not Zach Ertz, obviously, but I'm gonna go with the other one that, as Adam said, the ranking show. I'm gonna go Dallas Goedert. I think we bring in Jalen Hurts here, that young quarterback, second year and everything. Philly offense, all the comparisons are with Jalen Hurts and my boy Lamar Jackson about how their numbers the last 4 games of their rookie season all added up, this and that. With that said and everything, a young quarterback and an offense that I think may try to run the ball more and everything this year, kind of like what the Ravens did. But also, Mark Andrews had a very successful season with Lamar Jackson. And I can see Dallas Goedert finally getting that spot in Philly. And I can see him having a good year with a young quarterback there in Philly. We know tight end's a crapshoot, but I think he's got a tight end that can see 70, 75 plus catches, which, like I said, we take out the top 3. If I don't have one of those guys, I'll sign you up for that for my tight end right now. And another guy that I am going to stay away from here is, I hate to say this because I'm actually keeping his quarterback, but Robert Tonyan. Robert Tonyan had a great year that was filled with a handful of touchdowns. And I think he's going to see his touchdowns again this year, but to expect the same numbers he had last year, I think is just, a little much. Aaron Rodgers is going to be an Aaron Rodgers who's going to play, but it just feels and seems like a fluke from Robert Tonyan last year. Draft him if you like. Take him as a flyer. Don't expect their starting numbers the same amount of touchdowns as he gave you last year. I just don't need that to happen. That hurts me, but I don't trust it. Really, Evan Ingram, Chaz?
I agree with Chaz. That guy, I've had that guy in fantasy. He is so annoying to have.
Every year, I'm like, this is the year Ingram's going to break out. This is the year. And
I mean,
I'm glad they signed someone else, so I don't have to do that this year.
Yeah.
I am very guilty of that. They signed someone else. I still have Evan Ingram. I mean, I ain't drafting Evan Ingram as a starter, but I may draft him and back him up. Yeah, they bought in Kyle Rudolph, but Kyle Rudolph doesn't even know he's going to be ready week one. And to be honest, Evan Ingram's still going to be the starter for that team at tight end. See what happens, though.
We
All
got
right.
sleepers.
What's that?
Are we going sleepers?
Yeah, we're gonna start at quarterback. So start at quarterback. We'll go to wide receiver, and we'll end at running back, which is I feel like running back's just most important with sleepers and everything too. We'll start at quarterback. I'm gonna take this one first because we keep talking about Evan Ingram. And you know where I'm going right now. With
No.
my boy Daniel
No.
Jones. With my boy
What in the
Daniel Jones.
world?
Oh man, I had this planned up for 2 days. First thing, Adam, you're gonna shit on the Giants' offensive line because
You're
it
the
hasn't
vet.
been good. Because it hasn't been good, and you can't shit on it. But like I said, has it in the offseason they add any key pieces to it? Really? No. But did it improve as the season go on last year? Yes. And like I said, all of a sudden, we're working in a new system. It was bad at first. Andrew Thomas, you use a 4th overall pick on him, was bad the first 9-10 weeks of the season. But once he started to kind of figure it out, so did the rest of that offensive line. It kind of slowly started to all come together. So we're going to hope he has a better second year and picks things up a little bit. They'll buy some time for Daniel Jones a little bit. You bring Saquon back. You add in a number 1 receiver in Kenny Galladay. You draft a guy that nobody heard of from Florida in the first round, but he's a first-round pick, so you believe that maybe he has something going on there and everything. And all of a sudden, this offense could click, and it has a chance to score points. And, you know, if it's going to be scoring points, Daniel Jones has to be doing something at it. He's a mastermind a bit in the pocket there. So I think Daniel Jones, you know, 2-quarterback league, I think he has a pretty decent shot at putting up QB2 numbers. Rankings have him just outside of that, but no, I wouldn't hate him as my QB2 this year. And you know, this Giants offense click, he's going to be a guy you're going to want on your team. Hey, T, say
I mean, have you seen the Giants pass blocking last year, gang? They just let the guy go through. It's like, what do you
look, you've seen something from you've seen something from Daniel Jones. You kept him last year. Don't forget that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was a keeper in the 18th round, but that was the right decision. I mean, listen.
It was about the 13th round. I had the board out before.
Oh, sorry, the 13th round. I mean, that's just the most homer pick ever. But whatever you say, man. Chaz, I guess I'll go, Chazzy. Sorry, I might take this one from you. I saw a stat about Jameis Winston. The last time he was a full-time starter, he led the league in passing, I believe. And I think he is going to be very, very good in that offense. And there's so many differences now between when he was with the Bucs. I mean, better coaching, this and that. You know, he doesn't have maybe as many weapons this time, but dude, the guy just has no pressure. I mean, you know, he's one of the first overall pick, was he? And you know, he was young and mature, blah blah. I think he's in the perfect position to succeed. Sean Payton's a great offensive coach. I think he's definitely going to win the job from Taysom. It's only a matter of time. And I think, you know, looking forward to next year, the Saints are going to keep him around and make him their guy. So I'm huge on Jameis Winston. I know he played well. It was against the Jags. But, I mean, the dude can sling it, especially for fantasy. I'm not talking maybe wins and losses, but fantasy-wise, the guy could just play.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm snagging Kamara, I'm praying that Jameis is the guy there. So I like that one. I'm going to go before when I was talking about the Jets, how I said it's a good fresh start. I'm going to go to the guy they traded away, big Sammy D.
Okay, I thought you were going Zach Wilson. Gang was so excited.
Although I do think he's going to – I do think Zach Wilson's going to be good. But for this scenario, I'm going to say Sam Darnold. In Carolina, like I said, I do not think he is a bad quarterback. I think he just had a horrible start in New York, plus a bad team around him. And I'm not saying the Panthers are a great team, but they have weapons around him that can make him be good. I mean, you have one of the best running backs right behind him, and then you have Robbie Anderson, you have DJ Moore, and they just went and signed Terrence Marshall. So they have a lot of playmakers, and I think he's in a situation to have a good year. It's not New York, it's Carolina, so he doesn't have to be so worried about all the noise of New York City and all the media. He can kind of relax a little bit, play his game, and I think Carolina's a good spot for him with a lot of playmakers around him. So I'm excited to see what Big Sandy D does this year.
Yeah, honestly, I also like both your picks. I mean, Adam Jameis, you take him knowing that he has a shot to throw 20 interceptions, but at the same time, you're diving deep for a quarterback like Rasante. He also has a shot to throw 30 touchdowns in a season. Fantasy-wise, you almost take that with the 20 interceptions. Who's throwing 30 touchdowns, he's putting up some points, and you're going to get yours. And, Trash is Sam Darnold. I was always big on Darnold since he's been drafted, to be honest. And to be honest, he had it tough with the Jets. Jets didn't really get him much. But now all of a sudden, like you said, he comes into offense with McCaffrey, guy like DJ Moore that could just catch 120 passes, and they extended Robbie Anderson today for another couple of years. So he's probably got the best weapons he's ever had, just like we were talking about Lamar before. But Chad, you did get me hyped, so I thought you were going to say Zach Wilson. So
honestly, it was between those two.
All right, so now you're going to answer this question right here, because I was going to say it's a big year for rookie quarterbacks, a big draft with quarterbacks this year. Fantasy-wise, who's the first rookie you guys would take off the board?
I probably think Lawrence probably will be, especially he was named the starter today, which was no surprise. I don't know, honestly. I mean, especially in our league, like where the keeper aspect comes into it makes it a lot more interesting. I think honestly, if I had to pick, I'd probably go Zach Wilson. I think he's going to be really good, and I think there's no one. Not that Lawrence got named the starter. They're not going back to Minshew, but there's no controversy. It's Zach Wilson's team.
Yeah, that's my thoughts about Zach Wilson. I'm high on him. He's probably my guy too, but just give a different answer, and especially the way our league works. You throw Mac Jones out there, you don't just get the vibe that it's just one of those things that's going to work with Belichick, kind of like everything. If Cam Newton comes out, if he's the starter and everything, Cam Newton wants to lay an egg and New England's out winning like they did last year, all of a sudden Mac Jones comes in and he's your typical Bill Belichick's to get this guy to win games and play well. You got yourself a guy right there. So, Chaz, I'm with you because I'm a big Zach Wilson guy, but I think there are other fantasy studs. I just trust Mac Jones most. The fact that if he gets out there, he's probably actually going to win games. You got to hope he's scoring points if he's doing that.
I mean, you knew Gank couldn't say Justin Fields after everything, so. Fantasy-wise, come on now.
Trey Lance is higher than Justin Fields on that list, that's for sure. Trey Lance is probably above Trevor Lawrence for me, too.
To play this year? He ain't going to play this year. You think he will?
Trey Lance?
At some point, yeah.
I just got an update on my phone that he was just splitting snaps with Jimmy G in practice this year with first team.
Really?
He might be starting week 1, but
man, wow. I from what I've seen, the pre. Oh, Jimmy G looked bad. That's right. Yeah, he did.
Jimmy G's been looking very bad from what I've heard this whole camp. But
yeah, he did have a bad game.
And Trey has some highlights that he's viral highlights going on Twitter and everything, but he's also had some down moments too. I've seen them both. With that said, drafted Trey Lance third. Like, there's no way Jimmy G's to actually play all 16 this year. I just
Not
don't
sure.
see it. And who's your rookie guy? You Fields guy?
I mean, I'm a Fields guy, not because of the Bears, just because he has the running aspect. And I mean, he'll be in early. You know, the Bears are going to start off pretty slow. They're going to lose some games, and he'll be in. You know, it's just you got to think that you look at every running quarterback in fantasy, they all put up really good numbers, even if they aren't a great quarterback in general. And God knows that he's gonna have to run for his life behind that offensive line. So, I mean, the Bears got weapons on offense too. They got skill players. He's going into they got A-Rob, Mooney, David Montgomery. You know, they put up numbers offensively, but you know, it's just their O-line's not good.
David Montgomery. Well, I'm at the running back list now. I guess supposed to go receiver. So, I was looking sleepers here, but I'll give you one guy I'm staying away from fantasy football this year, and that's David Montgomery. And honestly, not even hating the Bears that offense that much. It's more so what you have to say, Adam. Do we trust that offensive line enough?
I mean, it's funny, Gank. In the zero surprise, he would be one of my sleepers. I don't know if you paid attention much to his year, but he was like 5th in the league in rushing, dude.
Well,
I think
it all came in like the last 4 years.
Yeah, because they took the ball out of Mitch's hands. Just ran the ball every. But
Had like
I don't know, man. I of course I completely disagree with you. I think he's going to have a very good year. I think he's a really solid RB2. And yeah, their offensive line isn't great, but they found a way to run the ball towards the end of the year. And if they stick to that against, not as good competition, not that many good defenses in that division either. So
still Matt Nagy too. We keep forgetting that.
I mean, he put up numbers last year. I'm just saying, dude, that guy had a great year.
Well, Nagy finally figured it out when they had him the ball, but now he said come out doing his thing. He used to be like, I'm gonna beat you guys in the air until he realizes he has to run the ball. Maybe too little, too late.
Probably.
All right. Well, we'll get back to running backs. Let's get a receiver though. Hey, you guys want to go first on a receiver sleeper here? I think this is the deepest part of the draft.
Yeah, I mean, I got a guy that I had last year a couple leagues that put up numbers when he was healthy. Brandon Ayuk, San Francisco. I mean, the guy's ranked very, very, pretty low in receiving standards. But I mean, every time he played, he put up numbers. And Kyle Shanahan's system, he just knows how to use those guys. I like him a lot, especially as like a flex play, but it depends on the health.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, I think receivers, I feel like are always deep, just the way the NFL is changing and everything. But, looking at this, there's 40 out of these top 50 receivers on the ESPN rankings that if I take, I'm not mad that they are on my team at all, to be honest. But, Chaz, I'm kind of feed off of you a little bit here with my sleeper here, because you're a Sam Darnold guy and I'm going to a guy that I brought up even before. We just signed a little extension today in Robbie Anderson. No, I think this is the best offense Sam Darnold's ever been a part of. I've been a fan of him since he's kind of came into the league. I always liked him. I think he has the ability to be good in this league. And, DJ Moore is obviously just a PPR weapon. The guy has a chance to catch 100+ passes any given season, but he's also the guy there that's to draw a little more attention. You got a guy with Christian McCaffrey in the backfield that's to bring an extra guy up into the box, and kind of like Calvin Ridley to almost Julio Jones. All of a sudden, there's just a number 2 receiver that you can't focus too much on because you got those other weapons out there. And I think Robbie Anderson can almost be that guy. Especially in PPR leagues, I see him getting 80+ catches. I seen Jamison Crowder get 80+ catches in a Sam Darnold led offense, and I think Robbie Anderson can be that guy this year.
I like it. I mean, they play together already, so
yeah.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go to one of the gang's other favorite teams to bet and be let down. I'm gonna go to Denver. I'm gonna go with Jerry Jeudy, especially after today. with Teddy Bridgewater being named the starter. Last year, Drew Lock, obviously, we all know that Drew Lock is just not good, and that he's kind of been holding back that offense. Teddy Bridgewater, on the other hand, had 2 receivers last year that were really, really good to have in fantasy, DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson. So now you put him over in Denver. And I mean, me and Gang were talking about this a few weeks ago. Jerry Jeudy had a good year last year. He didn't have the touchdowns. He had 3 touchdowns, I think. But he still had a pretty good year for a rookie. I think this year, especially with Teddy, I would say that touchdown number goes from 3 to 7 or 8. I think he had like close to 900 yards last year. If he duplicates that, it goes up a little bit. I think he's a very solid wide receiver 3 with a good amount of upside for where he's getting drafted.
Yeah, I definitely don't hate that either. Another big question that's swirling that I always think is interesting this year, especially when we were talking fantasy, because the Rams offense is, take their running backs out, but there's always guys in the Rams offense that you could draft in fantasy and probably have some faith in, but also you bring in Matt Stafford this year. No, the Rams always just are running their receivers out there. But, these 2 guys are close. Who's a better Rams receiver this year, Robert Woods or Cooper Kupp?
Yeah, Gank, it's funny, man. I was looking at the depth chart of everybody, and Rams receiving core is just loaded with. I mean, they got Deshaun Jackson they picked up. They drafted Tutu Atwell. They drafted Vance Jefferson last year. So it's like they keep picking up guys and drafting when you think they have a pretty strong core. Maybe thinking one of these guys won't be around. I'm a Robert Woods guy through and through. I mean, Cooper Kupp had a great year for me when I won it all, but Robert Woods is actually ranked pretty high this year, and normally he is just not. And the guy just produces. Cooper Kupp scares me a little because it seems like Jared Goff loved him. I don't know if he'll, kill it with Stafford, but I mean, Stafford put up numbers in Detroit no matter what, when they're losing. So you would imagine that keeps going. But Robert Woods is he's too good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, Adam. I think it is Robert Woods, but it's almost like that Brown running back situation. I mean, I think both these guys have a legitimate. I would almost bet they both go over 1,000 yards. I think both of them have a chance to catch over 200 passes. I mean, the Rams, we know Matt Stafford when he was in Detroit. That guy loved to sling the rock. That's all Detroit did with him. Well, let's be honest, McVay, the way he runs his 3 wide sets and everything. Yeah, he had golf. Yeah, it worked for that year. They got to the Super Bowl, but you probably give credit to the defense. But the way McVay runs his offense, you're going to want to think when it's all said and done, this guy really wants to throw the ball. Now you bring in a guy like Matt Stafford that can't throw the ball 50 times a game, has done it all the time. And McVay could have some fun with this offense and everything with this Matt Stafford addition. So I'm looking at Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp. Adam, I'm with you fantasy-wise. I think Woods just edges him out on a better year. But these guys will be fun to watch. And like I said, I expect both of them to be over 1,000 yards. I think it's more bold to say both have 100-plus catches, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I'm usually a Woods guy. I've never drafted Cooper Kupp in my life. And I mean, they're 1A, 1B. It's not like Kupp's going to be great and Woods going to suck.
Yeah.
They're both going to be good. I think and this is more of a gut feeling, like if they were both there for me, I'm probably going to take Cooper Kupp. But like I said, I mean, with Stafford there, I don't think either of them are going to regress, especially with their running back injuries. I know they just traded for Sony Michel, but they're going to be throwing the ball. And the weapons they have, both of them are very, very good. So I think either one you land, definitely a good option.
That's fun. All right. Like we did quarterbacks too. This was a big rookie year for receivers. So rookie receivers this year, like I said, we had a lot drafted. I want you to take the one. Who do you think has the best rookie year receiver-wise? Sir Justin Jefferson this year.
I'll go first on this. I don't know if there's a Justin Jefferson year. I mean, especially with the touchdowns, he was
Yeah.
incredible. I will say, and I mean, we were talking about how bad their defense is going to be, but I'm going to say Devontae Smith with the Birds. I think I know he dropped like the first pass or whatever that Flacco threw him the other night, but there's been a lot of videos, obviously, because I'm friends with a lot of Birds fans and they all overreact to things. There has been, though, a lot of video of like him in practices before that, in that game, and then this week against the Jets. That, I mean, he's got the route running stuff, the separation stuff, and we all know he can catch the football. I think he's actually going to have a pretty good year on a bad team. Once again, it goes into them being down a lot. Jalen Hurts going to have to throw. I think that chemistry, though, is going to start early and often. I think Devontae Smith is actually going to be a good draft pick for the Birds.
Yeah, I mean, Genk, you're right. A lot of rookie receivers, a lot of guys drafted. Going off what Jasmine said with the Jets, I think Elijah Moore was a really good pick for the Jets. I mean, they made a lot of good picks this draft. They had a really good first couple rounds. I think the Giants should have taken Elijah Moore before Tooney, but we've had that discussion a few times. So no, I mean, I like him this year. I mean, I think he's going to be, if not the 1, the 2 there, right? So he's going to try to build rapport with Zach Wilson, and maybe trail in a few games. I don't know how good their defense will be, even though Salah is a good defensive coordinator and a good coach. But yeah, I mean, I like Elijah Moore, and I think he just gets the reps and the opportunities, and that's really what it's about, receivers.
Yeah, I know. I was definitely robbing again of one there because, like I said, I gave you Michael Carter with the Jets. I love Zach Wilson, and I was also big on Elijah Moore, and you put him in the Zach Wilson offense. I love when the Jets drafted him. Brother, a big Jet fan. I told him right off the bat, I said, they're going to like this guy, this and that. But with that said, I'll go to Chad's guy in Baltimore there in Bateman. Very unfortunate injury to start the season, but we will see him, I'm sure, at some point this season. And the thing is, with you guys' name, I'm looking at Jalen Waddle. Don't trust the quarterback too much yet at all. That's thrown to him. So I'm kind of throwing him out. And then you got Jamar Chase, who, obviously we got all that going on in Cincy, but Adam, as you said, apparently he has a problem catching the ball. So with that said, I'm going to take a guy with a quarterback that I'm going to bash less this year, a quarterback that has actually proven himself in the NFL and probably has a shot to make some plays in this offense in Bateman over there in Baltimore. It's a shame he's injured. You have to sit on him, but once he comes back, don't be scared to get after him and add him onto your team.
Talk about just a Ravens receiver.
Yeah, I did.
Like
I've done nothing but bash Raven rookie receivers too. Should say a lot about what I think about this guy.
Yeah.
All right, now we're in a key position as my phone goes down. We got running backs. I feel like running back sleepers are the biggest key to almost winning your league every year. Like I said, our league's 2 quarterback gets hurt. It sucks. You're fucked. But wide receivers, I feel like you get a wide receiver that goes down. Yeah, it's tough, but you could always find one. Running backs, however, we're going to want your guys. So, obviously, we know the big names. Let's start sleepers here. Treasure Adam, have you not go first yet? I know I took quarterbacks. I don't know who took receivers.
I think I took receivers. Maybe Chazzy could take running backs.
Chaz, I'll let you take running backs.
I'm gonna go deep here too.
Oh,
I love that. Love that.
He was very good a few years ago. With a new team now, and I talked about how bad they were going to be before. But Phil Lindsay in Houston, he is a starting running back, and some leagues he's not even getting drafted. Obviously, they have Mark Ingram there and David Johnson still, but David Johnson, they said, is third down back. And, what I saw from Mark Ingram in Baltimore Was it last year? Yeah, last year. I mean, he doesn't have much left, and I think Philip Lindsay. I know I mean, we saw it all over social media. He was pissed about how he left Denver. He kind of got shafted. So, I mean, he's going to go to a team in Houston that doesn't have many playmakers. Lindsay can catch the football, and Ingram can't. So, I mean, Lindsay is going to get the early work there. And if you're looking for a late flyer on a running back that is going to play, that's your guy.
I don't know if I can go as deep as Chaz. That was a pretty impressive sleeper, man. That's far down. But so this is a guy that I've had in a few teams that I talked about. I like him a lot. I like Chase Edmonds. I think he's going to be the starter there in Arizona. He's outplayed Kenyon Drake last year.
God, I remember when you drafted an Arizona running back in the second round last year.
I remember picking him. I was like, I don't even want this guy. I literally remember that. And I was like, this is just going to come back to haunt me. I knew I shouldn't have done it, but I mean, yeah, there it is. But I feel like they're going to give him a lot more reps. I mean, the offense speaks for itself. When you got Kyler and you got D-Hop, I mean, a couple years in the system, they just have all the weapons. And this is a guy that could really feed off catching the ball, great PPR running back. And I think he'll get more of the offense. They signed James Conner, but I feel like James Conner will get less this year, maybe goal line touches. But Chase Edmonds catches balls, and as a backup, he was a pretty good running back.
Yeah, I don't know. I listened to Adam's running back sleeper last year. Definitely didn't hate it. Definitely talked shit on it actually, but then
they
used
drafted
it
him.
and then backfired.
Yeah, and then you drafted him.
And then he was cut by week 3.
Yeah.
With that said, my sleeper this year is I'm actually going back to Green Bay and AJ Dillon here. I mean, I know Aaron Jones got paid, he's got an extension and everything, but I'm looking at a guy here where I think he's get mixed into the offense more. Aaron Jones, big year last year, but we saw AJ Dillon more as the season went on. More kind of saying this because it cost me a ship too when he had a big game, but in all seriousness, AJ Dillon said have to take a little load off for Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones has been getting a lot of carries past couple of years, and he got paid deservingly so, and he still did get those carries. He's still going to make his plays, but we saw what we seen from AJ Dillon last year at the tail end of the season. We know the guy could play. He's going to get his snaps. He's going to get his reps. We know he can catch. I've seen 2 passing. Seen him catch 2 touchdowns last year in a bad time too and everything. And with that said, I think we're going to try to make sure the Packers keep Aaron Jones healthy. And God forbid, actually, he doesn't go healthy. You're going to have yourself a solid RB1, kind of like your Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb situation of Chubb where to go down in Cleveland with A.J. Dillon there in Green Bay.
I like it.
I mean, they drafted him in the second round for a reason, I guess, right?
You would think so. And then they paid Aaron Jones.
They paid Aaron Jones.
I can't believe
He
it.
went to the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
Travis, let's go to the biggest question mark. That's Baltimore running backs real quick. And J.K. Dobbins.
Fantasy wise or just in real life?
I'm going to say fantasy-wise. Because real life, I think he's a good running back, but we just don't know what the hell you're going to get from a Raven running back fantasy-wise.
Yeah, I mean, fantasy wise, I think we're going to get what we had last year. At the end of last year, he's going to get his 13 to 15 carries probably a game. The biggest thing is Gus Edwards is going to take all the goal line work when they're inside the 5. And then you also have to play into the fact that they have Lamar Jackson. So rushing touchdowns, I don't know if there's a prop on his, but I can't see it being too high. You're banking on him getting the receiving work, which he should. It just scares me with the touchdowns. I love him on the Ravens in real life. Fantasy though, it's been this way for years. Ravens running backs you probably stay away from. I'm not gonna lie, I thought they were gonna let Gus Edwards walk and just let JK do his thing, but Gus Edwards has been really good for the Ravens. Worst case for fantasy, but for real life, it was a smart move.
Yeah, it's I mean, I do this every year. I tell you guys, even like personal talk, I'll tell you straight up who I like, don't like in a draft, and it is what it is. You guys want to do something about it, but I'll show my hand before the draft. I don't care. I want to be very big on JK this year. Like, I want to be very big on JK this year. But as we've been saying, drafts get closer. I spend more time at work thinking about drafts and actually working. I start really thinking, is J.K. Donovan's really going to do what I actually need him to do? Or is Baltimore just going to run the ball with whoever they feel like going, throwing back there like they always do? The more I think,
like Lamar rips off like a 30-yard touchdown run or something. Like,
yeah,
Essentially got Lamar as running back too, which is tough. I mean, when I think Chazzy, you texted me when they re-signed Gus.
I did right away.
Yeah, you did, right? It was just such a sad day for me because I wanted that trade to matter and I wanted to get JK in like the 9th, which would have been absurd. But
that trade mattered for neither of us because you traded me Daniel Jones. And
he got hurt
2 days later. So
yeah, exactly. Sad day when they re-signed Gus, but I mean, he has been good for him.
Adam kept Adam Daniel Jones.
Mhm.
I'm not going to forget that.
I mean, it was a good keeper at the time. What can you do?
Yeah, because you liked what you saw from him, because you know he has something there.
there we go.
Because I like the value in the draft pick. Yeah, sure.
Where did Daniel Jones get you last year, bud?
Absolutely nothing. I don't even know if he started. Actually, Cam was my 1 QB, so he might have started.
You're I legitimately, I actually just threw it out, but like I pulled out the draft board out of my closet from last year, like today.
Right.
Like, get ready to pack me for the apartment. I open it up and I look, I'm like, oh yeah, Adam kept Daniel Jones. And I don't think he took a quarterback out into the 5th round, and it was Cam Newton.
Yeah.
And your plan was riding Cam Newton and Daniel Jones.
No. I took Tannehill and like
They took Tannehill late too, obviously.
I took Tannehill as my QB too. But yes, still, I agree completely. I thought Cam was gonna have a great year last year. I thought he was gonna do really well in that offense, and obviously that was incorrect. So I can't throw. You can't make a throw anymore. So it's like every pass is in the dirt.
Tannehill, Cam Newton, and Daniel Jones. That's what Adam was rocking with.
Hey man, Tannehill had a great year.
I mean, Tannehill was awesome. Man.
Tannehill was great, yeah.
Yeah, we can't all have Mahomes and Rodgers, man.
And then lose.
Yeah, and I had Russ in a bag of shit, so that was about it.
Who else did you go with? I remember you having Russ. I don't remember I saw him with you. I mean, if you're trading for Daniel Jones, then it's obviously not going well.
I had Wentz, and then he got hurt. And I ran with Minshew, and then he got benched. And then
Jake Martin.
I was saying, if you're trading for Daniel Jones at the time you did last season, you know things are bad.
Who the hell was my other quarterback going to the playoffs? I only traded for him literally to start him in week 16 or week 15 because I had a bad matchup with my other quarterback, but I forget who it was.
Now that you say it, I don't know if you picked anyone else up. I don't remember seeing any other quarterbacks on your board. You drafted Minshew, you drafted Wentz, and you had Wilson kept.
I mean,
I don't know. Was Minshew playing at the end of last year?
Don't think so.
I don't know who the hell my other quarterback was.
Yeah. All right, boys. Episode 1 is in. New season. Like I said, it's our preseason right here, but we're technically 2 weeks away before we really start. But bets are going to start next week when it comes to team over-unders and Super Bowl winners and everything.
love that. Love the team over-unders.
Yeah. What's the bet for the team over-unders this year?
I gotta find. I haven't looked at any of the win totals, but I'm gonna make one. Remember last year I took the Browns, so I'm gonna have to make one this year.
Yeah. I looked at a few. I haven't looked at them all. I look at my basic, like, the teams we like, the Broncos for like Gara, the Jets for Matt and everything. Like, if I have a friend, a fan of the team, like, I've looked at it, but I still probably got like 16, 17 teams I need to look at.
Yeah.
I know one team I'm taking an under on.
Here we go. I wonder who.
The Bears.
I mean, their win total can't be that high to begin with. I mean,
thought it was 7.5, which I think is nuts with that schedule, but it's probably accurate too. To be honest, I'll tell you right now.
they play the Vikings and the Lions. You can't forget that.
Yeah, well, they'll probably beat the Lions.
You would imagine they sweep the Lions and at least split with the Vikings.
Not giving them a split with the Vikings that fast. They should. They should.
They're going to win one game against the Vikings. Come on. They're that bad. Jesus.
Easier said than done. Redskins won the division last year. They haven't beat the Giants in years.
Yeah, but Kirk Cousins is like 7-1 against the Bears in his career or something, or 1-7. He only had one win last year, and that was the first one last year.
Win totals. Bears 7.5.
I might be taking the under as well.
Bad schedule, dude.
Hey,
But
man.
cool. You know what? You gave me 3 wins. You split the Lions and you split with the Vikings. Find me 5 other wins in that schedule.
They play the Jags too. I know that, but I don't know. It's
But you
not-
play the G-Man.
Yeah, I mean that's.
Play the Bengals.
They probably do since they play the AFC North.
Yeah.
They play, yeah. Maybe the Falcons. We'll go through all this next week. The Bears will be a big discussion because Gang just wants to shit on. Yeah.
It is such a right on number. You're missing some teams that I do think they can beat. But I had their number right at 7, if I'm being honest.
I don't think that's crazy. I think that's about right, probably.
Had their number right at 7. So, well, like I said, we got next week. We'll do team win totals. I'll give you my Giants just so you can think about it, marinate it, talk shit, try to study some shit to talk. They're over under 7.
Wow, lower than the Bears.
It's,
Look at that.
yeah.
Next week's gonna be fun. Next week's gonna be fun. I like win-loss week.
Same.
Next week really kicks off the regular season. That's you get your picks in, you get your win totals, you get your Super Bowl champs, and then boom, next thing you know, we're picking spreads week 1.
Oh yeah.
Love that.
Crazy. All right, boys.
More.